It's Monday, and that means we're back for another episode of Get Boosted on Shot Callers eSports. Eric Kummel here with Matt Hempstead, and we're finally getting closer. We say this every show. World is getting close. I can smell it. You smell that?
Not really, no.
Yeah, well, you gotta trim your nose hairs, and you can smell a little better. A few days away from the official group stage of Worlds, finally getting underway, which means it's finally time to make our picks.
Pick'ems.
The 4 teams are in there. There's no TBD 4th team. They're finally in there. There's no hypotheticals. The teams are set, which means, yes, we can do our pick'ems and win a massive grand prize from Ryan.
So excited, Eric. Wow.
Yeah.
The grand prize is that big, you can't even speak about it.
Wow. Just
4
amazing.
skins, man. Woo!
And they're all legendary or ultimate, whatever the most expensive one is. Riot going out with all the stops.
All the
to
stuff.
give you like $40.
Yeah.
It's very impossible to get all these picks right, by the way.
I feel, again, the prize should be bigger for this nearly impossible task of getting it perfect. Maybe even $100 would be pretty sweet.
It should be 100,000
It
to
should
get
be,
them all right. I
yes,
mean,
it should.
just looking at last year, people were gone. Like the first day,
game.
it was like, oh god, Albus Nox is winning.
Well,
Good night. No one picked them to get out. A lot of people, you got to go through with an interesting mindset to go into these picks. And I know I did.
You gotta be a little bit bold. You can't just go with what you know, the obvious. Because first of all, everyone's gonna have that. So you're not gonna stand out from the crowd. And honestly, there's always upsets. So do something a little wacky. Even if you lose, you're gonna lose anyway. So might as well lose being cool.
Exactly.
As the kids say.
And we're both very cool.
That's right.
Very cool. So we've each got picks for each group. We're gonna go through each group and explain why our ideas are the best way and the only way to go.
And why you're wrong.
And why I'm wrong. And yeah, that's what we'll be doing. And then we've also got a couple bold predictions to go on top of those group picks. Matt has said some ludicrous things to me about what he thinks is going to happen in the group stages. I don't believe him. But he'll tell you them anyways. And we're also going to be answering your questions.
Of course.
Later on, you can tell us why our pick'ems are really stupid and they don't make any sense. Just throw them in the chat box and we'll answer them later on. But without further ado, let's get started. We're getting started. And I think Group A would be a pretty good way to start.
Yeah, fine. We'll do it your way, I guess.
I mean, Group A, very interesting. Obviously, you've got SKT, EDG. Those are the main guys you're looking at. But you're talking about me. I'm putting Cloud9 number 2.
Look at you.
You
NA fanboy.
That's right. SKT, obviously, it's pretty hard to go against them number 1 in this group. I feel confident in Cloud9. I think this is they've now reached that point where it's kind of what people expected coming into this season, and really when they went on that win streak in the regular season, people thought they were definitively could be the second best team besides TSM, really for this whole year, ever since they took them to 5 games in the spring final. I think they're finally reaching that point. Impact showing some consistency in that top lane. Contracts has looked fantastic lately. Probably the best jungler in NA, in my opinion. Jensen, dominant laner. MVP candidate. Didn't win. And I think that bot lane has shown that they can keep the form of being a top-tier bottom lane. So,
Does anyone take a game off of SKT in that group?
I could see EDG. Maybe Cloud9, but I feel like Cloud9 maybe has a bit of a mental block, especially since last year when Jensen said he was going to clap Faker and didn't end so well for him. But, I mean, he's going to be looking for vengeance. I think SKT does drop a game. I don't think they go 6-0, but probably to EDG, not C9.
Well, and then C9 still beats out EDG. I respect it.
Yep.
NA counter, that's 1.
That's 1.
Eric's got the NA counter at 1 team.
We've got a counter going for this. Oh boy.
Of course, it's very advanced technologically.
Yes. Yeah. Don't put that finger down.
Oh, I'll leave it up the whole show. Yeah, pretty bold putting Cloud9. In the moving on, especially EDG getting some hype as the #1 LPL team, but yeah.
But they're not getting as much hype as you would expect from a #1 seed.
Yeah, everyone's saying like World Elite is better, RNG's potentially better, even though they just won the LPL finals. So people giving EDG a bit of disrespect, and you are too.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just giving more respect to Cloud9. I'm not sure. I mean, China is always just coveted as the second best region, but I mean, they do consistently get out of groups, at least 1 or 2 teams pretty much every Worlds, and then go on to lose to a Korean team.
Yeah.
Like everyone else at this tournament. But I'm not fully buying into the EDG hype. I don't know. iBoy is just so inexperienced on the big stage. I don't know. I don't know if there's more pressure on them on the home field, too. Home arena, crowd, whatever you call these venues.
Home arena crowd. That's
yeah.
All right, we'll get to my picks for Group A.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really didn't like the way you did things, so
yeah,
I changed it up a little bit and kept it exactly the same.
Wait a sec.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Cloud9 thing. If you look historically at, like, North America against China, I believe the win rate is, like, 50-50. So they generally go back and forth. I mean, you'd think, you look at Worlds and there's always NA doing poorly, but they just drop games randomly to these teams like, you know, Albus Knox. CLG didn't have a great time with them, and these wildcard teams just consistently take games off North America, and that's kind of where NA falls by the wayside in terms of these close standings. So you look at Cloud9 against Edward Gaming, I think they hold up pretty well against them, and I think even for Cloud9, going through that play-ins and into the knockout stage against a decent opponent like Lion, it's a good warm-up for them, because sometimes they do start slow. It takes some time to get into that rhythm. So you build their confidence early, you get sneaky going. I think it's a good sign for Cloud9, and I agree with you. They'll probably get out of it. The way I see the group breaking down is like 5-1 SKT, and then 3-3 in the middle guys. I'm kind of with you. I think EDG takes it, or it could be one of those SKT troll games in which Cloud9 takes advantage.
The classic.
The classic. But yeah, I think it's a 3-3 for both EDG and Cloud9, and then Cloud9 takes a tiebreaker.
Ooh, that would be pretty spicy. I think the main thing to be concerned about if you're Cloud9 is just, I think maybe over-preparing for EDG and SKT and then going into these AHQ games with almost no prep maybe, and then, because if they drop a game, 2 games, I can't see them dropping to AHQ. But even if they drop 1, that can put a pretty big dent on your chances of getting out of that group. So they got to take all 3 teams very seriously.
But yeah, again, it's Worlds. Even every team that's there deserves their spot, except for maybe one, which I'll touch on a little bit later. But I mean, AHQ, that second seed out of the LMS, I know people are sleeping on them too, being like, they're not that great. And, you know, people thought HKA was better than them, and they're not even in the tournament now.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what they can bring. But again, don't sleep on them, because that's how these teams, like Albus Knox, like Gigabyte Marines, beat you.
Yep. Now, let's slide on to Group B.
Slide on.
First one with a little EU NA rivalry spice. Let's see what you got for this Group B, man.
Yeah,
you
okay.
Kick us off.
The big question in Group B is basically who's going to take that second seed. Is it Immortals or is it Fnatic? And I'm going to stick with NA. NA counter up to 2.
Ding,
you can't see the counter
ding,
because it's behind the graphic, but it's there. I guarantee you it's there. But yeah, I mean, Fnatic, I know they beat HKA in a 3-game set, but even for me, in that they were just so slow getting started. And I get that HK is an early game team, and Fnatic's probably just trying to hold them off and then take advantage in the late game, but I wasn't overly impressed throughout the play-ins by what they brought. And again, you're going to compare it to Immortals and their poor showing in the NA finals against TSM and be like, yeah, Immortals choked. The bot lane specifically, Cody Sun and Ole, they had a bad showing in that set, especially after they were up huge in Game 4. You thought they were going to come out massively. But I still think that's going to be a good learning curve for Immortals. And then on this big stage, they'll be able to hold their nerves a little better now they've experienced it, that big spotlight. Even, I feel like they have more pressure on them in that set against TSM than on a world stage against Fnatic. So,
yeah, I mean, you mentioned that bot lane. Yeah, that was a bit of an issue. And in this group against, you know, Reckless and obviously Praying Gorilla, your bot lane can't be any less than average because they're going to get destroyed by those guys. So I think, you know, for me, this is where we differ, Matt. I'm taking that NA counter back down 1 maybe.
So it's at 1.
Does it count? Does it go up and down?
I think we have to have separate NA counters.
Oh, okay. So mine's at 1.
Okay.
I feel like Fnatic is going to take that second spot from Immortals. Yes, Longzhu. We don't even need to talk about that. They're going to get first in that group. But I don't know. I feel like Fnatic has had so much disappointment when they've been hyped up lately, this split, that I can't see them doing that again. I think having to go through the, I'm going to call it, I don't know, adrenaline rush of having to go through that whole play-in, go through the gauntlet. They've played so many games just to get here. I don't think they're going to they're not going to be fully prepared and playing at their absolute best. And I mean, you look at guys like Soaz and even Reckless, who's already been consistent the whole split. They seem to play better the bigger the games get. Soaz, whenever he's at Worlds, he'll have some ridiculous teleport escape, or he'll do a questionable backdoor on Rumble that cost you the game. Shoutouts to that game, OMG Fnatic. But I don't know. I don't have the full faith in Immortals. I know people have kind of said that about them all split, and they pretty consistently prove people wrong getting to that finals. And I mean, really that series against TSM was closer than 3-1, even that final score dictated, because they had early leads in most of them. Obviously, they blew a 10K gold lead against TSM. That is a little alarming.
It is.
If you're looking going forward to that. Not that I expect them to necessarily get a 10K gold lead against some of these teams, but maybe, yeah, Fnatic has started slow in games. Immortals could get out to that early lead. I got a funny feeling that Fnatic is going to impress in this group stage.
Well, I feel the exact opposite. I think Fnatic...
You got a different funny feeling.
Yeah, more of a bad, like, I'm going to throw up feeling from Fnatic.
I get that.
I think they might be tied with the Marines in last place at like a 1-5 record.
Oh.
Like, I honestly think that Marines are going to take a game off Fnatic. Like, I don't expect much out of these guys.
I mean, basically what this is going to come down to is obviously when Fnatic and Immortals play head-to-head.
Yes, and exactly. Longzhu's going to beat everybody.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a sec.
But
I mean, unless, yeah, they're dropping games to the Marines, who knows? Based on last year, Marines gets out second in this group, and we're totally wrong. Maybe that roster is actually pretty good. Because we haven't talked about them at all.
Archie,
maybe he gets MVP of the whole tournament.
One not so bold prediction is that Archie will get bodied by basically everybody.
Yes, I think Flame, Soaz, and Khan are substantially better than Archie.
Yeah, is that bold enough for you?
That is not bold.
Oh, okay.
The opposite of bold. That is tame. That is a tame prediction.
It is a tame prediction.
But yeah, I think Fnatic, I think Caps, he really got back on track in that 3-game set against Hong Kong Attitude. He was fantastic in them, just outputting insane amounts of damage. He looked much more confident in lane, and I mean, he's going to have to be against BDD. But I think Caps is the second best mid laner in that group for sure. So,
yeah, I mean,
no offense, Pope.
People sleep on Pobelter basically his entire career.
Yep.
And I mean, he does vary, but I think he's probably the most consistent guy. Well, more consistent than Caps. Not the most consistent guy in the group, obviously.
Sure.
That goes to BDD. But, I mean, with Caps, you never know what he's going to be doing. He could be getting the whole clapped thing, which people like to say for whatever reason. Yep. But I think Pobelter is going to consistently be pretty strong in the mid lane, especially with, like, Smithy, the veteran, outperforming guys like Broxa, who's a bit younger. First Worlds for him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Pobelter will be the more steady guy, but Caps has the higher ceiling. He'll have games where he gets 1v1 versus
come on, man. 200 IQ POB.
Teams. 200 IQ. That's nothing. Mine's 220. So I got to go to my bold prediction for this group. We alluded to it. You think Longzhu is going 6-0?
I think that Immortals are going to take a game off of him, to be honest.
Wow. You got a lot of hype for Immortals. It must be because you got the jersey behind you.
That's it. It's some weird feeling.
Yeah, you got to support them. You're being entranced by them. But I think they go 5-1, Longzhu, and the team that beats them is the Gigabyte Marines.
Oh, one of those.
It's going to be one of those spicy ones where maybe the game doesn't really matter for Longzhu, so they're whatever.
They're
just kind of playing through the motions, and the Marines maybe come in as like 0-4, 0-5, and it's one of those games where the wildcard team just go nuts and do some stupid stuff. Teemo jungle, throw in, I don't know, something else ridiculous. What do you never see? Fiddlesticks mid, and I mean, they don't expect it. They just cheese their way to a win. I think the Marines are the ones that give Longzhu their only loss.
Is that their only win, the Marines? Or did they pick up another one?
They could have two, maybe 2 wins.
Against who?
Immortals.
We'll see. That's where we disagree. Again, honestly, it could go either way, but I'm just leaning Immortals. Eric's leaning Fnatic. So, I mean, let us know who's an idiot. Who do you think's an idiot? Eric?
We can both
me?
be idiots.
We probably both are.
There's a reason that we're both idiots. Never mind that. We're not both idiots. Group C. Group C is the group of death, even though Fenerbahce got in there. It could have been much more deadly.
1907.
1907 Fenerbahce.
You gotta specify.
You have to say it every single time. There's a lot of Fenerbahces in this tournament.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
established 1907. That's when the team first started playing eSports.
Man.
So yeah, this could have been deadlier if C9 had gotten into this group. It would have been bonkers.
It would have been crazy.
But it's Fenerbahce. Still a pretty deadly group, and I think 1907 Fenerbahce probably going to get fourth. Maybe you think differently. I got Samsung in there, as is the team, the Korean teams, getting the top seed. Keep that going. I think G2 Esports gets some redemption from 1-5 at last Worlds and get that second spot. It's going to be very close between them and RNG. RNG definitely has the potential to take that spot, but I think G2 can withstand the aggressive nature that RNG is going to output, and this is their shot at redemption. They did it at MSI. Can they do it at Worlds? I think so.
The redemption at MSI was pretty sweet, but this team is, it's hard to say they're up and down when they've won 4 straight splits in Europe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're pretty consistent except for the early part of summer where they struggled mightily and everyone was like, what's wrong with G2? But, I mean, they do look pretty good now, especially they run through playoffs. They had to go through the quarters, best of 5 against Splice, Unicorns, and then Misfits. But yeah, impressive run by them. So we'll see what they can do on the world stage. But the story going back since the beginning of G2's time is always international events, and they struggle. But again, they kind of push that aside at MSI.
Yeah, and I mean, this is basically going to be their 4th major international tournament. So, I mean, they've got plenty of experience. These guys are accustomed to playing against the best in the world, and I think they know what's at stake. It's basically the team's reputation now. If they put up another poor performance at Worlds, it's one thing to, like, lose in a tiebreaker or something to RNG to not get out of that group, but they can't go, like, 2-4 or 1-5 again.
Yeah, no, you can't be doing that. But remember back at MSI, even their group stage was pretty rough.
It was questionable.
But they did beat a Chinese team in World Elite in the semis to get to that finals against SKT, where they got beat up pretty good.
Yeah, well, everyone.
But that's not like a diss or anything. It's just how it is. But they did beat a Chinese team to move on, so they've done it before. Maybe they can do it again.
I'm drinking the G2 Kool-Aid.
How's it taste?
Not bad. A little bitter, but
a little bitter.
Yeah, you know,
maybe a tad salty.
A little salty.
I got you.
It's a terrible drink, salty and bitter. That sounds awful.
Wow. Give me some of that, Eric.
Who do you got in Group C, man?
After what I just said about G2, I'm gonna kind of push them aside because I don't think they can hold up to Royal's aggression. I think what Royal's gonna do is just really surprise teams early in these games, and once they get that lead, it'll be too far back for these other teams like G2 to come back from. And for a while now, G2's weakness has kind of been the early game, and they sit back, let the other teams come to them, and then they fall behind. So for Royal, a team with Uzi, with Xiaohu, and all these aggressive guys, MLXG, man, you can't just try to play it safe in lane. You either have to be proactive or just be really defensive and make sure that Expect knows, watch out for these bot lane dives, and keep guys like Trick around Expect, because you know there's going to be all kinds of gang scum and all these roams. And even 2v2 fights, Uzi trying to push things in the bot lane. I just think it's going to be too much for G2 to overcome. I do think they'll probably take a game off of Royal, and it'll be close, but again, it's just, RNG is this team that's hard to prepare for. And if you're G2, you kind of just going to have to go on a whim and see how you're playing that day, and I don't think it's going to be enough.
So your EU counter is down to -2. -2.
Oh, it goes, okay.
Yeah, it goes down when they don't make it.
I got
so
it.
So EU -2.
Yeah, I hate Europe.
You hate Europe. Wow. I mean, at the same time, I feel like G2 is going to be expecting that aggressive stuff, and they're just going to be sitting there back, and like that's their game plan. They're going to be like, let them throw everything at us. We'll pick a scaling comp. Well, maybe don't pick a scaling comp, then you'll just get really thrashed. But this is why I don't plan things out. But they'll be ready for that and just trying to play for that late game. You've seen in some of these play-in games where the wildcard teams, RNG's not a wildcard team. No shots fired there. G2's not a wildcard team. But I mean, they throw everything they can at these major region teams, and they just kind of sit there, get behind a couple thousand gold, and then when it comes to the mid to late game, they just completely outplay them. Again, these two a lot more evenly matched than a wildcard team versus a major region, but that's going to be very interesting. I think that's one of the most interesting spots for that second seed is RNG versus G2. Fenerbahce, are they winning any games?
I don't think so. I don't think they deserve to be in Worlds, to be honest with you. They got so lucky.
They got a good draw.
With the draw, yeah. I mean, to draw Team 1 eSports amongst other teams like Lion and HKA sitting there, they could have been tough. I know they couldn't actually face Hong Kong attitude, and they earned the right to do that. But it could have been a lot uglier. They got the easiest draw of those Pool 2 teams, so I'm not convinced. And they lost the game to Team 1 eSports. Man, come on.
Yeah, I think if they're playing Lion, you probably got White Lotus, the god himself, playing.
Yeah, White Lotus should have a world spot. He deserves it, man.
Yeah, 5 of them. Can we clone that guy?
I think so.
Yeah, we'll look.
We have the technology now.
Yeah, we'll look into it. Final group.
Here we go.
D, also known as the Group of Life, although some life was taken away when World Elite got in there. But I don't think all the life is gone.
You think there's still a little bit of life?
I think there's a little bit of life, and I think despite World Elite coming in there, I still think TSM takes that top spot.
Yeah, I feel like that's a perfectly fine thing to say, Eric.
Perfectly fine. I know everyone's saying World Elite is really the best Chinese team, even though they're the 3rd seed. They're better than EDG. They're better than RNG. I mean, they beat up on some wildcard teams, but they didn't beat up on them that hard.
No, I mean, it was whatever. But here's what I think is going to happen in this group. We'll give you the old graphic here.
Ooh,
it's going to be pretty sweet. So, surprise to some people, and I screwed up the logos there, by the way, because I'm an idiot. But I got Flash Wolves in last because, Misfits looks a little cool there. It could go either way, that's why.
Yeah,
that's why. It's basically a tie.
Oh.
But yeah, Misfits or Flash Wolves are going to be fighting for the last place spot. I'm going to put Flash Wolves down there, which might surprise some people. I think people are sleeping on Misfits a little bit, but who cares about that, really? Everyone's talking about TSM, right?
Right.
What are they going to do? Are they going to get out of this group? Are they going to finish first? I think they're going to finish first. I think what they've done this split is enough to push them over the edge and take that top spot. World Elite, again, people think they might be the top team in China, but you look at what they did in the play-ins, and it wasn't super convincing the way they won these games. They're just not aggressive early on. They really like to sit back, take advantage with macro plays later on. But I think TSM's good enough to put a hurting on them early and then be able to recognize what World Elite's doing. Because, sure, World Elite can go for these 20-minute Barons against wildcard teams, but against teams like TSM, against Misfits, against Flash Wolves, stuff like that could get punished. If you get caught doing a 20-minute Baron, you are screwed.
Yeah, I mean, you basically get aced, and then they get a free Baron.
Right.
And I think TSM has shown that throughout the NALCS, they kind of snuck some sneaky Barons as well, and they've really good at setting up vision there and kind of denying it from the opposing team, so they can sneak those ones where one guy out of place, AD goes bot to farm, boom, free Baron. So, yeah, and I think TSM coming into this Worlds, I mean, you've seen they're way more experienced playing from behind. I think they've talked about it last year at Worlds when they got down in an early deficit in a lot of these games. They were kind of thrown off because they expected to do better in the early games, and now they're more comfortable playing from behind, and they're still comfortable playing with the lead. I mean, that 10K deficit against Immortals was a prime example of that, just staying calm and, doing as many favorable trades as you can when you're behind that much. So I think this is the exact same roster as last year's Worlds. This is the best possible group they were going to get. Yeah, they could have had Fenerbahce in there or whatever. But, I mean, this is as good as you're definitely going to get, especially as a Pool 2 seed. I mean, TSM have been talking about this World since basically the start of Spring Split. They've basically, even when they had Wild Turtle, they were basically just talking about improving and getting better so that they can perform at this World stage. And, yeah, again, I think China might be a little overhyped as an entire region.
It's possible. I'm excited for the double if Biofrost versus Mystic and whoever support World Elite chooses.
Yeah.
Whether it's Ben or Zero, that's going to be a pretty crazy matchup. Both guys love to do that hyperscaling and then go aggressive, so should be fun.
And just to keep track again, that is +3. All 3 NA teams getting out for Matt. And how many EU teams are getting out?
It's a big fat goose
Wow,
egg. -3 is you would say.
-3, that's right. So clearly, Matt taking high regards to the outcome of Rift Rivals.
It's got nothing to do with Rift Rivals.
It's fully everything.
What it's got to do with, it's not even like NA's better than EU. It's the situation in which these NA teams have been thrown into.
Yeah.
I mean, you have G2 thrown into the group of death with RNG and Samsung. And if teams like TSM was in there, I'd probably still put them over RNG, but it'd be close. And obviously Samsung is still on top. And then you got Fnatic in Group B. I think Immortals are better, but it's close between those two teams.
It's a good group for both of them.
Right. And then Cloud9, it's manageable in their group. I mean, if the Fnatic was in there too, I might put Fnatic where Cloud9 is beating Edward Gaming. So it's just, it's really close, and I just think that NA got a better group draw. That's it.
That's fair. That's fair.
No fanboyism, no bias, none of that. I'm from the West, not from North America.
Okay.
Get that
Well, basically, I've got a West team coming out of every group.
See, so you got 4 Western
half
teams.
The quarterfinalists
That's pretty crazy.
will be West teams.
That's pretty crazy. There's you.
My Group D here with the correct logos,
Yeah.
even though I didn't make it. You made mine look nice, and you ruined your own. Well,
I don't make other people look like idiots, only myself.
That's fair. You said Flash Wolves aren't going to win a game.
I don't think they're going to win a game.
That's pretty harsh. I could see Flash Wolves and Misfits. I think they both win a game. A little 1-5, 2-4 action, maybe.
That's me being bold again. It's not like I think Flash Wolves are garbage. I got to make something crazy.
Yeah. I think TSM and World Elite are both hanging out at 4-2. They're playing a tiebreaker for that top spot. So that'll be pretty spicy. But yeah, TSM getting that first seed. And it's pretty rare NA's getting a first seed coming out of a group. If they do that, that's, again, the only chance they have of getting out of quarters. Because if they get that second spot, they are guaranteed playing a Korean team, pretty much.
Yeah, so let's say that they do finish first. Let's look at who they might be playing in the second round then. Because out of Group C, it's either G2 or RNG.
Oh, G2 TSM quarterfinals would be amazing.
Or Uzi against Doublelift. Both good matchups.
Yeah.
And then it's Immortals or Fnatic out of B. I'd watch either of those.
Is there a rule that you can't play an NA team in the quarters?
I don't believe. I think you can face anybody.
I guess a couple Chinese teams did last year.
Yeah, well, I mean, at some point it just becomes unrealistic. Yeah. And then Group A, EDG Cloud9. Man, there's some. It's still tough, even if you get the first seed, but it's a lot easier than not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, playing Immortals is a little better than SKT.
Well, it's up to what you think, but that's fine.
So yeah, I mean that's the group stage.
That's the group stage.
I forgot my other bold prediction. We'll get to yours because I know you got some good ones. I think my boy Perks, he's talked about this before. He said he wants to play Yasuo. I see Perks picking Yasuo in a game and winning that game as Yasuo. That's probably more bold than actually picking it because it feels like Yasuo, when you see him in a game, has a 20% win rate. I know that's not true, but I think Perks picks Yasuo and wins. I feel like he might become an interesting counter pick to some mid laners.
The wind wall, man.
The wind wall is the stupidest ability in the game.
Ridiculous. Yeah, that's pretty gutsy. Yasuo will pick a Worlds. That'd be hype though. That'd be pretty sweet.
I'm ready.
One of my bold predictions is that I think the Immortals bot lane of Cody Sun and Ole smashes Reckless and just by themselves 2v2. I think Ole shows up and has a field day with those two.
No respect to the MVP.
You said
of
bold,
the summer
man.
sport.
You said you want bold?
No respect.
You want bold?
That's pretty bold. I thought you were gonna say they smash Prey and Gorilla.
Well, that's stupid. that's just different. No, I don't know. They could take a game off Immortals. Off Longzhu. Immortals could also beat themselves.
They could. Play themselves.
As they did in the NA finals.
Ooh, got them. Too soon. They're still reeling from that. But take game off Longzhu? That's only for the Marines.
Man, they've got the song counter. The former coach. They know everything.
Yeah, I feel that was
the inside man.
I feel like he won't know much. Like, what is having inside information as like a League of Legends coach? Like, what does that do for you?
I feel like it's exactly what you see in the script or like their games. Yeah.
You know, Prey likes to play Ashe.
How'd you get that?
Yeah, we watched the games too, Coach.
Oh. Did you know he's good at Ashe?
Ashe.
Write that down real quick.
Yeah. I don't know how much insider he actually has. He might know Prey's favorite food.
Wow.
So you find his favorite food, poison it. That's a win.
That's a good strategy. I like it.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Wasn't my idea though.
Oh, okay. You just heard it from someone else.
That's right. You got any other bold predictions?
Is there a group stage MVP? Is that a thing?
I don't think so.
If there is, when Eric and I give ours, I think it's gonna be Doublelift. I think he's gonna run wild in the group stage.
Doublelift. Get a lot of love for NA in this group stage.
Man, why do you gotta keep saying that? Now everyone in chat's gonna be like, this guy. That's what you want, huh?
By the way, make sure you're sending in those questions.
Yeah, we're getting the questions soon. That's right.
You're picking Doublelift if there was an imaginary group stage MVP?
Yeah, hit me with one of yours.
Let me think.
Man, he looked great with Balfrost down the stretch.
He was fantastic in the playoffs.
And it's an 80 carry centric meta right now kind of thing, so hit me with it.
Yeah, you're either hyper-carrying on an AD, or the opposing team's sole purpose is to kill you as an AD. So you're the focus of both teams.
Yeah.
I guess the MVP, you probably have to get first in your group, right?
I would say so.
I feel like it's going to be a guy like Wolf. A guy on SKT maybe who you wouldn't exactly expect. I think he gets into, I think the bot lane in general is going to be like the most important stuff at this tournament, whether it is ADs like you mentioned, because so many hyper carries guys are picking these days. And it's also support. Buying Ardent Sensor, you get MVP just for that, for buying that item. But also these heavy engaged guys like Alistar and Rakan, who just, you saw Biofrost do it in the LCS finals. You can just completely take over multiple team fights. And if you don't have someone willing to engage like that, I mean, it's hard to get fights started. My boy Wolf.
Giving it to Wolf.
That's right.
One more thought.
Go ahead.
Let's do a quick LVP. Who do you think's really going to screw over their team? Who should they murder after they lose and get eliminated from groups? I've got two possible guys.
A little aggressive. You don't need to murder anyone.
Well,
But you got two possible? Okay, go ahead.
I'll give you one, and then you go back.
Okay.
Well, obvious one is Archie. Poor Archie.
Yeah, but that's a guy who you're not expecting. I'm thinking of a guy who you need to perform.
All right, you want my other one?
Okay.
Soaz.
Oh.
He could potentially tilt off the face of the earth against guys like Khan and Flame, because Smithy likes to hang out up there too. That's a strat. If I'm going against Fnatic, my strat is tilt Soaz.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good strategy. But then again, he was tilted against H2K in that gauntlet final, and they still won that.
Yeah.
He was doing the hand waves on the webcam. I think a guy like iBoy might disappoint.
See ya.
Might disappoint. You know, I mean, it's kind of unfair to put a crazy amount of pressure on this guy. He's so new to the scene, but again, AD carry centric. You got to pop off, and I mean, in front of a home crowd, expectations of getting out of that group, playing against SKT, that's spooky stuff, man. That's a lot of pressure on that young man.
You think he's going to get spooked by the spookiness?
I think he might get spooked by the spookiness, and that's one of the reasons EDG doesn't get out of that group.
Nice.
Thanks.
Those are some potential people getting murdered.
No one's getting murdered, you guys. Everyone settle down. iBoy's an interesting name, though. He even puts the lowercase I.
Good for him.
Do you think he works for Apple?
He must.
Yeah.
New product coming soon. The iBoy. You can have a little robot chop.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
New product is coming.
Listen, you're talking about murdering. You're not allowed to have a little toy boy robot.
I got you.
So.
Is it time for questions?
We definitely should go to questions.
Yeah, I think so.
Before this keeps going. So.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, you know.
Let's get to some questions. Send them in. We got time.
Yeah. Matt loves NA, hates EU.
That's right. Question for me too. Is LPL overrated? You kind of got to that. Meaning World Elite and EDG, they don't really seem what they're hyped up to be. And I guess we kind of agree. We kind of agree with that statement.
Yeah, I think it's almost people just automatically stick China as that second best region behind Korea, but it's kind of a meme to say the West is coming, EU and NA. I think both of them are pretty close to the level of China is, especially coming into this Worlds. I think, like even these third seed teams, before in history you've seen the third seed NA and EU teams are not great. But, I mean, this year, they're teams you kind of expected to be the second seeds. So it's pretty strong for the Western squads, and I think they're pretty even with China.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. For people to just be like, China's obviously better than NA, or even EU for that matter.
It's not true.
It's not true. No, I mean, these teams have been, again, they've been trading wins historically. It's not been like one side dominating the other. G2 beat World Elite at MSI, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on. China's beaten NA, So it could go either way. That's my point. But yeah, I do think that this China thing is a little overhyped, and people just being like, oh, Korea 1, China 2 in every group. I don't believe that.
We'll see.
I don't.
Come group stage. I don't believe it either. But they're still a very good region.
Yeah, again, no hate, but...
everyone but Fenerbahce's good, right?
That's right.
And the Marines are good.
Yeah.
They're at Worlds.
They're at Worlds, that is correct.
And they're not a wildcard team.
Bruno thinks SKT will win Worlds and Huni will be the MVP. Mark his words, Eric.
Wow.
Mark them.
Wow.
Mark them.
I mean, he's going to have to play well if SKT wins.
Yeah.
He's going to... He's by far the biggest question mark on that team, I think.
It's a big question mark.
He's a big question mark. I said before, I see him either performing super well or struggling in the group stage and doing the opposite in the knockout rounds.
Yeah.
So he's either going to rip up the group stage, destroy everyone, SKT goes 6-0, and then kind of not so good in the knockout stage, and maybe SKT goes down in the semis.
That'd be pretty crazy.
Or vice versa, he's terrible in the group stage, and knockout stage he's great, and they go through and win. Yeah. I think a lot of it rides on Huni. So I think if SKT wins, which I don't think they will, I think Huni could get MVP for sure.
Yeah, again, maybe it's me just really not wanting SKT to win, but I don't think they're the favorite this year. I do think it's Longzhu again, but that's a different question.
Yeah.
But yeah, SKT, obviously, Huni's been very hit or miss, but they chose him over Untar. We'll see how that pays out. Maybe it'll backfire and explode in their face. But even with a mediocre top laner, I think they'll be good enough to get pretty far. So you've seen this team get carried by Faker, Bang & Wolf, whatever before. So
yeah, I mean, I think a SKT squad playing at 80% still getting to the semis, and then maybe getting knocked out by Samsung or Longzhu.
Sounds great. All right, Shyful wants to know, will we see Azir at Worlds since Faker has been spamming Azir in solo queue? Always fun to look at the solo queue records and see what's up, huh?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times it's pretty telling. I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of people playing Azir in solo queue. They did give him some buffs.
Yeah, they did.
I can't remember if that was actually the one that affects Worlds. Was that 718 or 719 they did that?
I got to dial back and check.
I feel like it was 718.
I do think he got some buffs, whether it was the major ones or just some tinkering. But
yeah, I think they changed his ult, how much damage it did.
His ult damage, yeah.
But I think, I mean, that's a champion that is just so insane at sieging and defending turrets. You get to build your own turrets. I think you can play around him with like a whole comp so well. And I mean, he's such a hard champion to play well. Like I've tried playing Azir, and it is daunting, man. There's a lot of stuff going on. But I think there's going to be a few different mid picks that come in because that champion pool mid lane has gotten condensed down to like 3 in recent competitive matches. I mean, even a thing like Kassadin is kind of like, okay, well, a lot of other stuff's banned or taken, so we'll do Kassadin. I think it's got to expand a bit in this World Championship. So I can see Azir being played.
I can see it too. Again, the changes, if they are applied in this thing, would definitely help. But I think they are too. And again, he can be so oppressive in lane. You just have with those soldiers, and you kind of just zone everyone away from the wave too. So if there's a melee, like a melee pick in the mid lane, man, Azir's not fun to play against. I tell you that because it's pretty miserable.
Yeah, and he's such a diverse champion because you can engage. You can do a hard engage with the, what was it called? They had a cool name for it when he would fly around.
Yeah, they did have a cool name. It's been a while since we've seen Azir.
Yeah, he used to be everywhere. But yeah, you can engage super well. You can disengage with that wall. They also changed, you can't, it's just the initial push on the wall. So when you leap afterwards, it's not just whacking you back and back and
That's
back
nice.
again.
That was very annoying.
My favorite was with the Rengar trying to auto attack. It looked
just
hilarious.
Getting consistently pushed back. That was very annoying. But yeah, Azir's fun to watch. Perks Azir, everyone. The memes are back.
No. Rise and Azir meta, look out, G2.
Oh, Rise is back too, maybe, yeah? Should be a good time. Charles Glenn, if C9 and TSM swap groups, do you think C9 wins Group D? And do you think TSM could split with SKT and force a tiebreak for first?
Oh, I think if they swapped groups, I think C9 could beat World Elite. Or at least, maybe go to a tiebreaker, take top in that group.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they could be similar with TSM there. I think TSM's getting second if they're in Group A. Fighting for second with EDG. I don't think they're taking down SKT.
That's a pretty gutsy thing to say.
Yeah.
I mean, even forcing a tiebreak with SKT would be surprising because that would mean, again, SKT lost to somebody that they weren't supposed to.
Yeah, they could. I mean, technically, I guess they could beat SKT once.
That would be required.
And then they both go 5-1. I feel like TSM probably drop a game to EDG too. Then they're 4-2. Maybe a tiebreak.
It would
be tough. It'd be a
lot
harder than Group D.
It would. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Benjamin wants to know, have you considered that Fenerbahce can do what Albus Nox did last year? I mean, you can never rule it out, but at least this time around, we got to see what Fenerbahce could do ahead of time.
Yeah.
Albus Knox was this team that was like, no one expected anything. We didn't get to watch any gameplay beforehand. This time we had basically a whole tournament to watch Fenerbahce. And they don't have even their main jungler. I'm not sure if there's been an update with Move. I haven't heard anything. So I would bet against the whole Albus Knox treatment coming from that.
Yeah, seeing them in that play-in didn't exactly inspire me to think they're going to upset, especially in basically the hardest group in the tournament. Even Albus Knox last year, although it was a pretty tough group, I guess. CLG, G2, and Rocks, I guess.
They beat Rocks and CLG twice.
That's actually a pretty insane group. Kudos to Albus Knox.
And G2 once. Yeah.
Shout-outs to Albus Knox. But no, I don't think 1907 Fenerbahce, I don't think they win a game.
Yeah, I would. I
The
don't
old
think
goose egg.
Feels good, man.
Of course, now they're going to win the group.
Yeah, that would be something.
That would be something. Padden, don't let them get that Kog'Maw.
That's...
New bold
let
prediction.
him have the Tristana.
New bold prediction, Padden gets a pentakill. Number 2.
You're locking it up. And they still lose the game?
Yep.
Nice. Good penta.
That's right.
To 4, how do you guys think Lion Gaming would have done versus Immortals and TSM? I mean, you kind of saw how they fared against C9, which was...
One close game,
one close game and 2 stumps. So, I mean, they're talented enough to hang around a little bit, but it'd probably be a very similar result. I wouldn't expect much else.
I mean, maybe they take a game off one of them, but I don't think they're taking more than a game. I don't think it's going to game 5. I mean, they're a very solid team, Lion Gaming.
Again, their story, Lion, is pretty good early game. They got some solid laners.
Yep.
But after that, on the macro sense, it's a fall off. And that's kind of what you get from a lot of these wildcard teams. They can be aggressive and have a good early game strategy, but it does fall apart once Baron and Dragon start getting involved. Yeah,
because in their home region, they don't really have to do any of that. They just stomp guys in lane and win the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Win lane, win game. So
that's it. So I don't think they would have done any better against Immortals or TSM.
No.
Shyful, Karma top at Worlds. I don't want to see Karma in any lane at Worlds. Man, that champ is boring.
Yeah. Listen, I'm worried. I'm worried that the meta is going to be put a champion that can buy Ardent Sensor in every lane.
Dear Lord.
Throw in the Karma top, sure. Got the Ivern jungle, Lulu mid, and then Janna bottom. Kog'Maw, go ahead. It's Ardent Sensor is just so insane. I'm a little upset it wasn't more nerfed for this Worlds patch because it is just going to be a dominant force.
Yeah.
So I
Get
mean,
excited.
I wouldn't be shocked if you're seeing these shield Ardent Sensor guys in the top lane too. The old days of Lulu top every game. Fun stuff.
God.
It's fun to be an 80 carry player.
Now's a good time, yeah.
Yeah.
Though there's still those games when it's like Jarvan Galio. See you later.
That's fine. Just play Kog'Maw, press W,
Yeah.
get 10 shields, get a penta.
Counter it with the Janna.
Yeah.
Press R. Oh.
Yeah. There's no time to even kite when there's 3 guys diving on you. You just sit there and output your damage before you die.
Yeah. Ghosty. Question. Why do you put TSM above Flash Wolves when Flash Wolves has better results locally, internationally, and in solo queue as well as the Taiwan versus China pressure, boosting their performance? I don't think pressure ever boosts performance, but that's just me anyways.
I mean, solo queue doesn't matter. Just look to our Lord and Savior.
Yeah, solo. I don't care where you are in solo queue going into the
Diamond 2.
That's fine.
I mean, Flash Wolves, I think as a whole, the LMS region has kind of been down. So basically, the whole play down there is down, whereas NA has been up competitively this year. I mean, you saw basically the top 5 teams outside of Envy in the playoffs. All 5 of those teams were pretty solid.
Yeah.
I mean, they were competitive playoff matches, which is new for NA. Usually it's like a stomp until at least the semis. So I think just overall the competition's up there in NA. And I mean, Flash Wolves have kind of stagnated, I feel like. They haven't improved really in a while just because they've been dominating LMS. It was kind of like Cloud9 when they first got into the NALCS and they were just destroying everyone.
Yeah, who's testing them?
Yeah, and then internationally it's like, oh, this is kind of a whole different ball game. Yeah, Flash Wolves does have plenty of international experience, but I'm just not that confident in them. And TSM, I'm scared to say I'm confident in them because, not really. But I just feel like right now their region, and they're the best in their region, is overall stronger than the LMS. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Flash Wolves, year after year, they're basically winning the LMS, whether you like it or not. But I mean, the only team really pushing them is like AHQ, and even then, they're pretty significantly better than AHQ eSports is. So I mean, this year you saw TSM get pushed by Immortals, by CLG, by Cloud9, all these teams kind of rising to the occasion, forcing TSM to get better in order to win the NALCS. So I do think that's a big part of it. And I mean, this isn't the same Flash Wolves. They do have some changes as well. So we'll see how much of an effect that has. But I just have more faith in TSM over the Flash Wolves. I know Flash Wolves before they'd be in SKT, all this cool stuff. But I just think this year TSM's better.
Yeah, and I think coming into this, Flash Wolves aren't exactly red hot. Most of the guys outside of Sword Art, I think, are coming into this kind of slumping or playing a bit below what people are expecting them. Whereas, I mean, Bjergsen got MVP, was great in the playoffs. Doublelift, fantastic in the playoffs. Biofrost came up huge in the playoffs. And, I mean, Sven Skaren, he's not getting flamed by people, which is new, which is nice to see.
Yes.
He's usually the guy who gets blamed first and foremost on TSM. He's been pretty solid, and I think Hanser's shown he's one of the best top laners in NA. So I think as a whole roster, TSM's coming in with confidence, whereas Flash Wolves is kind of slumping.
Yeah, I'm with you. Emin wants to know, what do you think about Reckless and Jesus versus Cody Sun and Ole?
Well, someone here seems to think that Reckless and Jesus are getting bodied, I believe was the term.
Smashed or something.
I
think Ole shows up, man. I think they returned to the form pre-playoffs, where they were just looking so good. And there was conversation as in like best bot lane in North America. I think they get back to that. They kind of got the nerves out of the way with the whole NA finals. I think they've learned from that, and I think they'll show up at Worlds. And I mean, Reckless is tough, but even in lane, he's not always the best. They're kind of sometimes passive and just trying to push off Reckless into the side wave. So I do think that maybe Cody Sun and Ole can take advantage of that.
I mean, you did see Reckless and Jesus get a little over-aggressive, step over the line there against, I think it was YG they played where they got killed 2v2.
YG.
That's not ideal, but I mean, that's one game. I feel like that'll be a pretty even matchup. I don't see, without some jungle presence, I don't see that going, I don't see many 2v2 kills there. But if Ole's getting back to what he was doing before, it's going to be a 2v1 because Ole's running mid lane to get some kills.
Yeah.
Which he very well might do. Caps is a guy that you can camp, and he might not learn his lesson. Maybe he's learned his lesson now, but
maybe
he's a guy you can probably exploit by continually ganking and throwing pressure at him. But yeah, that bot lane will be interesting.
It will be. Ivan Neshkov, what do you think of Fnatic beating Longzhu? I don't like it. I don't like the odds. I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, it's pretty unlikely. I mean, it's unlikely anyone beats Longzhu in that group.
Right.
So automatically you're looking at like 5 to 10% of anyone beating them in that group. Shoutouts to Marines. We're going to do it, by the way. But yeah, I mean, I don't really see an advantage that you give the Fnatic in that matchup. Like
I don't
early
see
game, no. Mid to late game, any of the lane matchups.
Yeah, even jungle is close. If you're gonna exploit Longzhu, it'd have to be in the jungle against Cuz, but Broxa doesn't always show up either. So
yeah, so I don't see Fnatic beating Longzhu, but you got to give them that one. I'm gonna give them 5%. That's a lot more than 1%.
That is a lot more. Yeah. A couple more Fnatic questions. Which Fnatic will we see in groups the only gank bot and put all resources in Reckless, or the one who lets anyone carry?
I mean, I'm banking on the Reckless form here. Although, I mean, it's one thing to put all the resources, which they do with pretty much CS. You just have to look at him. He's 300 CS ahead. But, I mean, Caps showed in their best of to get in that he can carry when he actually gets a lot of pressure from Broxa. I mean, he was 5-0 to start a lot of these games. He was popping off. So I think for Fnatic to do as well as they can, and really what they did during their best stretches in summer was when Caps was getting super ahead and carrying these team fights. And they were still getting a lot of resources to Reckless, even during those games. But it was mostly him sitting on these side lanes with some of these ADs. But right now, the meta, you can't really have your AD sitting in a side lane. He's got to be in these team fights.
Yeah, that's the scary thing for Fnatic is you've seen them, on a macro sense, give up objectives just to get Reckless CS on a side wave. Like, they'll put him up top when there's a big wave coming and be like, that Infernal Drake doesn't matter.
Reckless got 20 CS.
Yeah. Oh, we in this. So
Yeah.
that's always kind of a scary thing. So we'll see. But obviously, Reckless is going to be a focal point. But they will need Caps to perform and get some resources of his own to have a chance, I think.
Yeah, and I think the jungle focus should be on Caps in the mid lane because you know he plays aggressive and he's going to be drawing attention from the opposing team's junglers. So be ready for the counter gank Broxa because even bot lane, Reckless and Jezz, they're not necessarily super aggressive that they're going to be able to get any kills there. And Jezz likes playing these more mage type backline supports anyways. So it's going to be hard to get a kill bottom. So we'll hang out top or mid and help your boy Caps.
Yeah. Francisco, if Fnatic goes to finals, can you put a flag of them in your background? I guess he's not thrilled that I'm bashing on them. But yes, if they make finals, we'll put a flag of Fnatic in the background. I would bet against it heavily that they'll do that. But
Yeah, they got the semis before. A little bit of a different team.
That's very different.
A little bit of a different team.
That's very different.
But if they get to finals, yeah, we'll sing a song about Fnatic.
Yeah. Spoiler, this team is not that good. just put it
Whoa,
up.
what a spoiler.
Yeah, I know. Everyone, cover your ears.
Yeah.
Watch out.
I will write a song for Matt to sing if Fnatic gets to the finals.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Final Fnatic question for now. There's a lot of questions, so let's start plowing through them, all right? Eric?
Love plowing through questions.
There you go. Can Fnatic finish 4th, though? Is the next question. Can the Marines overtake them?
Oh, 4th in the group.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant 4th.
Well,
like
that's what I'm
semis.
assuming in the group.
Okay. I don't think they can finish below Marines, despite them getting a win off Longzhu, by the way. I think they get more than 2 wins for sure.
More than 2. Well, you have them
Fnatic.
advancing, yeah. So.
Fnatic. More than 2 wins for sure. I mean, Marines are not getting more than that. So Fnatic's at worst finishing 3rd. I think they finish 2nd.
I think Fnatic could finish with 1 win, potentially.
Nah.
But we'll see.
I don't think they'll tilt that easily anymore. They've tilted enough this split.
I just don't think they're that great. Anyways, that's enough hating on Fnatic. We've upset people.
Upset me.
Shyful, is Huni the right choice for SKT? It's going to have to be. But Untara's probably more steady. Huni's probably got a higher ceiling.
Yeah, and I think maybe SKT feels like they need to have that higher ceiling to get past Longzhu, maybe compete with Khan. But again, I feel like the top lane meta is not exactly as carry-oriented as it was earlier in the split heading into this Worlds, which is, I mean, a benefactor to any team who doesn't have a super hard carry top lane if you can just go, play Cho'Gath, play Maokai.
How do I do that?
Oh,
press
okay.
1 button there.
Yeah, okay. I can do that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think they need the higher ceiling of Huni to compete.
Yeah, there will be a lot of Cho'Gath, though.
Love me some Cho'Gath. I actually hate it. Stupid champion.
It's pretty tough to play. You're right. Philip, how do you think Broxa will play against Levi and Xmithy?
This is a pretty good jungler matchup there in Group B.
There is.
Across the board, pretty much. I mean, Broxa, again, in that best of, you saw him focusing a lot on the mid lane. He was way more active than you've seen him, and his low points in the season, really in the play-ins and in that best of to get into Worlds. So I think he gets back to the performance we saw where he was getting MVP votes. I think he just goes invisible sometimes.
He does.
In the jungle.
Yeah.
And I see him straying away from that. I think as a whole, Fnatic should basically stay away from the bot lane for the jungle pressure. Focus on Soaz and Caps, and I think Broxa looks much more comfortable and just engaged with the game when he does do that.
I think against Xmithy, it's going to be a tough matchup because Xmithy's so creative in not only where he ganks from, but just his pathing in general and how to like stray away from the enemy vision and that kind of thing. So it's going to be tough for Broxa to go up against a guy like Xmithy, who's this big veteran presence. He kind of understands how to play against certain teams, and I think Xmithy is going to be a huge point in Immortals doing well. But yeah, Broxa, you just never really know if he's going to show up or not. Like you said, he does go invisible. There are times when you forget that he's in the jungle, and there are just solo laners doing their own thing without any jungle pressure. So we'll have to see what he does. As for Levi, he's a guy who likes to get aggressive. He likes to get those kills on himself. So make sure you're watching out for Levi if you're Broxa for those early invades and that kind of thing. So we'll have to see if Broxa can hold up.
Yeah, and I think Brox is a guy who doesn't really dive into those carry junglers. He's going to play stuff like the Sejuani, like the Gragas, these supportive tank engages where, yeah, Levi's going to be playing Kha'Zix and Ezreal every game. Here we go.
Yeah.
A lot of Ezreal. Let's see.
A lot of Ezreal.
Yeah.
DTX Dubstep. What does Misfits have to do to upset Free SM? Call them Free SM. I think, man, what you've seen them struggle to do for most of the split, which is close out games. Learn to close out games because they can get those early leads, but once you hit like 20 minutes, they just start to struggle again.
Yeah. Does Maxlore play jungle TF? Because that combo with PoE is the bane of TSM's existence. So that might be a strategy.
There you go.
But it's tough to see Misfits taking a game off, even taking a game off TSM. So I feel, again, they had 2 good best of series against UOL and Fnatic, and that's it.
Yeah.
They got pretty stomped by G2, and for the majority of the regular season, they weren't that good. I feel like Fnatic's better than them in this Worlds tournament, and I think Misfits are the weakest Western team. I'm not even sure they're actually that great a team.
Well,
so
that's not very nice.
Don't think they'll beat TSM.
Fair enough.
They'll probably 2-0 them. So.
Probably 2-0. Yeah, you never know. Kyle Lawson, who's going to be the most played AD carry at Worlds? So you have to take into account who's going to get banned, because right now Kallista's like permaban. And that leaves the Xayah being first picked in like every game in play-ins.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Xayah or Trist.
Yeah.
Trist or Xayah. Xayah or Trist.
With a lot of Kog'Maw.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be, those are the main 4.
I feel like Kayla might be making a small comeback too, but we'll see.
Yeah, always a pretty annoying champion in the play-ins. And kind of the backup seems to be Jinx for some people at least.
Yeah.
I mean, again, they're all hyper carries.
Right now there's a lot of playable AD carries. Yeah. Twitch is playable, Varus is in there, Ash could always come out, Sivir, yeah. I mean, most of them are okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, who's not really viable? Misfortune. And
all the ones that are played mid.
Yep. Right, so, Lucian, you're not playing bottom. Corki, you're not playing bottom. I'd like to see more Draven.
With you.
Some people like the Draven.
Sama could pull it out.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of ADs people could be playing at this tournament.
Yeah. But. All right, Shyful, can Gigabyte Marines repeat the MSI run for Worlds since Archie is playing top lane? That tells me that they will not repeat.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a positive.
No, that's a concern. That's we can't find anyone else. Let's put our support player top, unless he plays support champs like you said earlier.
Karma top.
Give him Karma and Lulu.
I think he's kind of the high effect where they know he's not the best player, best mechanical player, but they're like, he's our shot caller. We need him on the team.
Yeah.
So go top.
Okay.
So I don't think they get out of what is repeating the MSI performance, winning a couple games. I mean, they're beating Longzhu, of course, but
yeah, I think it alludes to the whole TSM debacle.
Yes, I don't see them putting up much of a fight in that group.
Good night.
Except for when they beat Longzhu.
Yeah. Jonathan, if CLG was a 3rd seed, how well do you think they would have done on the play-in stage? I have no idea.
Oh, no. CLG.
I have no clue. They could have lost to Lion. They could have won everything.
I think CLG, if they're in that play-in, they get out, but it's
exhausting.
It is a grind. They might go like 2-2 in the group stage.
They probably would have come out as a 2nd seed and then won.
Like if you just put them, just stick them right where C9 is in that group, I think they're dropping at least a game to Dire Wolves when they get down 8K early on. I mean, I think maybe they win that best of to get into Worlds in like 5 games, and they limp in, and people are like, they are going to get destroyed at Worlds.
Yeah, so. It's man, CLG, it's a meme. You just never know. You never know what's going to happen. So again,
for the integrity of NA, they should be happy that C9's there and not CLG.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Corrales, will Faker pull out a signature champ Rise? I mean, I think we're going to see a fair bit of Rise this tournament, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think Faker's definitely going to play Rise. I think it'll probably start getting banned against SKT because he's pretty insane on that champion. And yeah, I mean, it's very interesting what we're going to see consistently in the mid lane because, as we mentioned, there's been a lot of nerfs to champions. Champion pool's getting thinner and thinner and thinner. They're going to have to start branching out. So yeah, Rise, Victor, Azir maybe. The Talia's still going to be there. Cassiopeia. More Kassadin coming in. There's going to be a diverse set of champions in there. And Faker, his champion pool has never been questioned in his career. This guy can just randomly play anything. He's played like Olaf mid, Irelia mid.
Yeah, he's played some crazy stuff.
But yeah, Ryze, no matter how many times they rework the champion, Faker is still amazing on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little more tricky to play now than it used to be. But
at least it's not point and click. You're bashing people's heads in.
Yeah. Let's hit these last few quick here, Eric.
Yeah.
Emmett, is Liquid still praised for his speech, or is he just forgotten? It was an epic speech. It was epic, but he's also kind of a toxic.
He's very toxic
guy. So.
Yeah, he rage quits the game early in some competitive games. So, I mean, he was an amazing story during Worlds, but he is also very toxic.
Yeah. Do you think the change from BO3 to BO1 will be bad for North America? We'll probably touch on this more on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But it seems like the change is pretty much primarily just for viewership and less for the teams. So if you're Riot and you want to make more money and you get more views, clap, clap. But otherwise, it's, I mean, for me, I want to see the best of threes because I think it tells you who's the better team is.
Yeah, I am curious. Riot did say that they took the consideration of the players into changing this back, and they kind of wanted that. I'm curious how much input the players actually had.
Well, take into consideration is just, what do you think of this? I don't like it. Ah, that's too bad.
Yeah,
we took it into consideration.
I hope it's not that, because then there's going to be a lot of grumpy people. Yeah, everyone's saying the region as a whole, the reason it's gotten better is because of this best of three situation, having to adapt on the fly to some of these games. So, I mean, we'll see if the competitiveness and just the strength of the region drops off going back to best of ones. But yeah, I think the main thing is they didn't want 2 streams going on, because that second stream was getting like 20,000 viewers, which is not many.
Yeah, it wasn't many. When it was usually like, here's FlyQuest against Envy.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not surprising it got little views.
Yeah. Final question.
Okay.
Will we see Brother Sven or Godlike Sven? Brother's more entertaining.
There's going to be a lot of brother memes for, I mean, Trick will get it, I'm sure. There's a lot of guys who will get that treatment.
For sure.
I don't think Sven will, because I think TSM will actually perform pretty well in the groups. I mean, they'll have to, because I think they'll get the first seed. So I think Sven's been pretty good, and it hasn't even been on Lee Sin. That's usually a guy who, even when he's struggling, he goes on Lee Sin and he looks pretty great. Hasn't played much Lee Sin, just been playing meta, and he's looked pretty solid.
Yeah, he'll still do the thing where he gets caught out every now and then, and Twitch chat will love it.
Yep.
And think he's their brother, but...
Yeah, but I mean, Double Lift will do that too. He might flash in and pull a wild turtle. And then 2v4, get a quadra kill.
If you die, you get the brother treatment. So that's it.
And I'm okay with it.
I'm okay
because it's hilarious.
It is.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
That's it.
Well, the World's official group stages get going a little later. We're going to have some special shows going on this week. On the Thursday and Friday, we're going to be popping on after the playing stages to kind of take a look at and go over all the games that happen.
Real quick.
Going to be a shorter show.
Yeah.
And we'll dive into some of those highlights because Worlds will have officially kicked off.
Let's go.
There'll be a lot of games, so we'll be powering through it quickly. That's on Thursday and Friday, probably around 10 a.m., 10:30.
Yeah, 10:30. We'll say, yeah.
We'll be giving updates, and we'll update on Wednesday as well.
Depends on how spicy these games are.
Yeah. And yeah, the next show, Wednesday, of course, 2 p.m., 5v5 Live. We'll preview some of the matchups from the first day, go more into those matchups. Maybe touch on this best of one a little more.
Yeah, probably a good call.
In the NALCS, because it is very interesting.
It is.
Most curious, right? Most curious. But that's it for today. Thank you very much for the questions. And yeah, we'll be back Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eric Kummel, Matt Hempstead. Thank you for watching.